Welcome to the Duncan Duo Radio Show, hosted by Andrew Duncan, the official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning. As Tampa Bay's top-selling real estate team with over $3 billion in sales and thousands of homes closed. Sell your home with ease, guaranteed in 14 days or they'll buy it. Visit theduncanduo.com. Here's your host, Andrew Duncan.
Happy Sunday, Tampa Bay. Let's get right into talking about all things real estate in Tampa Bay like we do every Sunday here on WFLA News. I have one of my best agents on the show today. We're going to talk about a featured property of hers. We're going to get a chance to introduce herself. But I want to give her some props. Her name is Trish Valesky, and I think I pronounced it right because I didn't used to. And Trish is from Wisconsin, and one of the best parts about Trish is one of our listing agents, which means she's working most of the time with our home sellers. And one of the best things that Trish does for any sellers out there thinking about selling right now, Trish sells it. Let me tell you, when we're in our meetings every week and Trish is talking about her featured properties to all of the agents in the office, and when I hear her talking to agents, that's one of the things this market needs right now is an aggressive salesperson. You need somebody to push for you, and that is definitely Trish. She does such an incredible job with our home sellers, and if you need somebody aggressive, if you are, if you struggled, if your home didn't sell, if you felt like you had an agent that wasn't aggressive, man, it's funny because when Trish gets to talk about her featured properties, sometimes, if you watch the Oscars or the Grammys, and then they have to get taken off stage, right? Like they're on there too long. That's Trish with her featured property. She makes sure to let you know every single thing about it. And look, the reality is it sometimes within our company leads to transactions that happen before properties ever hit the market because they're like, oh my goodness, that's exactly, we have one of our, almost 40 team members that hears you talking about this property and are like, that fits my client, and I know you've done a ton of those inside transactions where just from word of mouth and just from being an aggressive salesperson, a deal happens.
We like to be matchmakers.
That's it. That's exactly what we're doing. And so Trish, originally from Wisconsin. So if you're a cheesehead, if you're a Packers fan, you'll relate very well to Trish. Been in the real estate game a really long time, over 20 now, right?
Yep, over 20 years. I think we both started at the same time.
Yeah, right around the same time, like the mid 2000s. So, so 20-year veteran of real estate, has a massive amount of experience, does a great job with our team. And we have a property that we have to talk about today, which is your featured property of the week. And it's 5027 Lake Toscana. Beautiful property. Tell us a little bit about the property. I believe it's priced at $1,025,000 is what it's priced at now. Beautiful property, especially for someone that's moving down north, that's bringing their family. Incredible family property. Tell us a little bit more about it.
It's an extremely unique property. It absolutely is pristine and gorgeous. It's very stunning, and a lot of thought and detail went into this home. There's porcelain tile throughout the entire property. It's 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, over 3,000 square feet. Custom features throughout the entire home that make it outstanding and breathtaking. It is on a lake. It has a private pool with a built-in kitchen. It is a complete entertainment-style home.
And we have this on Zillow Showcase right now, which is one of the things we do to feature, kind of our premier properties where the home gets, some 3D tour aspects, professional photography, videography. And, I was looking at the photos of it and again, very similarly, beautiful house. But the thing that I think is probably one of the most attractive parts about it is the land, 1.2 acres in an area that I think has grown so much. I remember when I moved to Tampa, and people said, hey, go to Wimauma. And I had absolutely no idea what they were like. They were mispronouncing it. I would mispronounce it. I probably still mispronounce it. But you'd go out there and there wasn't a lot of stuff out there. And it's really grown a lot. The commutes have gotten better with the expressway. There's much more development in terms of residential as well as restaurants and just lots of things coming to Tampa Bay. And our new construction market continues to drive population growth because, look, you can't create more housing in central Tampa. So our community and our market just kind of keeps going out into the suburbs. And so there's some really beautiful properties being built out there. 3-car garage too, which is a car junkie.
Well, what's
that's my thing,
really cool about this property is it has a large circular driveway, but both sides of the garage doors open so that you literally can drive through your garage through the circle.
Yeah, which is super cool. And again, if you want more information on it, 5027 Lake Toscana Drive. You can call or text us, 813-359-8990. You can ask for Trish. She can give you a private tour and give you all the information about it. Secondarily, the other thing that I would say that you can do is if you just Google the address, you'll find it on Zillow, you'll find it on YouTube, you'll find all the different ways that we're showcasing property. You can also see a floor plan and a 3D tour on our Zillow showcase listing. But this is one of the many things that we do for our great home sellers. We talk about their property on air, just like Trish talks about it to our team. And there are times when we have somebody listening to the show that's like, oh my goodness, that sounds, my realtor never showed me that. Can you guys help me?
Take a friend.
Yep. So if this property sounds like it's right for you, again, 5027. The last thing I'll say is Little Manatee River, which is right there too, which
awesome.
is super cool. And that area to me kind of blends the best of urban and rural. Like I've lived in South Tampa for a long time and I'm ready to not live in South Tampa.
Right.
And kind of commute and have a little bit more land, kind of be out a little bit. And when you go out to this area, it doesn't feel like Tampa. It feels much more suburban, much more, kind of peaceful country living, but you're still super close to everything.
Yep. There's still a floor model out there that people can look that you can custom build your properties. It is a gated community. They do have amenities like with a private lake that people can fish, canoe, paddleboard, kayak on. They also have a pavilion, but it's pristine, and all of these properties in this entire community are on over an acre. So you have privacy and room.
Yeah, and so definitely not the typical cookie cutter. I mean, I see homes right now above $1 million that are like the cookie cutter. You're stacked.
Do you want the garage on the right or on the left?
Right, you're like stacked on top of your neighbor, and like this is a property that obviously you can have plenty of room and have a nice piece of land as well. So again, 5027 Lake Toscana Drive. Google the address, call or text, or go on our website, or certainly send it to your real estate agent as well. We'd love the opportunity to talk to you. So I talked in prior shows about a lot of the stuff happening with property taxes in Florida, and specifically like my prediction about the impact that it'll have on the Tampa real estate market. And when the tax proposal kind of initially came out, a lot of people, there was just a lot of different variations of it. Now that it's kind of honed in and they've worked the bill to have exactly what's going to be, up for vote, it'll require a 60% vote from the public. Now that is not every person. That's actually the number of people that go and vote. Okay. So it's a very low percentage in some of the non-national elections. So it's crucial that if you are a homeowner and you want your property taxes, reduced, or that you are somebody that's going to buy a home, or you're someone impacted by the real estate community, property taxes in Florida have risen at a rate much faster incredibly faster than so many things. And there's a huge gap of money being, taken in by local governments that are just kind of going to waste. So it's a great opportunity to kind of put that back in check, have the local governments be a little bit more efficient. And it's not instantaneous. It's kind of a ramp. It starts with the $250,000 house, and then it's the $500,000 house. And then it kind of goes. So it's not like all at once, all property taxes are gone. It's a long-term plan to eventually allow communities to find other ways besides taxing homeowners indefinitely, to find other ways to fund local government, whether that's going to be sales tax or tourism taxes or simply improved commerce or more people moving here. There's all these variables, but the point is that it will have a considerable positive impact on real estate, because when you start to factor it out on homes, the homes right now in the real estate market that are, where the toughest segment of the market is that mid-level home, that $500,000, like that's the worst part of the market right now. When you get above $1 million and $2 million, does everyone in that crowd, myself included, want lower taxes? Of course we do.
Right.
But is it necessarily having an impact on whether we buy or sell? Not really. But the person that's buying $500,000, the reason the market during COVID, and I know you remember this, the market during COVID was insane.
Yep, off the charts.
Like crazy home selling way above asking, bidding wars, like madness, right? Well, we had like 3% interest rate, so everyone could qualify, and the money was cheap. And that was, and that obviously drove prices up. Since then, prices have really been kind of stagnant. They haven't moved a lot. But what ends up happening in those lower price ranges those first few years is the reduction in property taxes reduces people's payment to start to put it in line with those interest rates that we had back then. So I believe we'll have a big swing in the market, a big positive swing, specifically where it's probably needed the most, where there's more people that are in foreclosure, there's more people struggling to make their payments. There's more people, that they're more likely to be economically impacted by a job loss, and eventually everybody gets the benefit. But even just the initial people with an exemption for $250,000, and then additionally after that an exemption to $500,000, even if it never got past that, the people at $1 million and $2 million and $3 million are going to feel a positive impact, because those people that are going to sell their 250 are going to go buy a 500. The people that are going to buy a 500 are going to go sell. It's going to trickle. So nonetheless, I think it's one of the most positive things for our real estate market in the near future. Simply because of that, there is one key element to it that I think people aren't paying attention to, though, and that's what I think happens the second half of this year. We've got some economic things underway. I'm hoping we see some relief. From some of that, but you have to be a resident here by the end of this year.
I've had so many people reach out to me already from other states, buyers looking to want to purchase something because they want to be able to pull the trigger when this gets approved. Right.
I mean, you imagine the property tax bill on a $250,000 house being massively reduced, and then obviously on a $500,000, I think as it progresses, it goes to higher price points. But the price impact of that for people is substantial, because what ends up happening if you don't move here by the end of this year, then you wait 5 years.
5 years.
So that's when you factor in how much money that is in property taxes. So obviously, I know everyone listening to the show right now probably lives here. Or if you're here on vacation and you're thinking about moving,
call me.
You should do it now. Call Trish. Trish, fill out your phone number. What's your phone number, Trish?
It is 920-980-7805. Call me and I will take great care of you.
And she will do an awesome job for you. And so the truth is that, as it gets out there and more people learn about this, I think we will see a really good, third and fourth quarter this year because of that movement of people. And the reality is it may not end up passing. But markets, including real estate, including every market in the world, markets move ahead of the data. They move ahead of certainty. So like, for example, if you look at the stock market, if a company's doing really well and they've got an earnings call, the market is going to move ahead of that, but predicting like whether or not the earnings are going to be good or bad and whether the stock will go up or go down, and then it responds after it. Well, there's certainly going to be some movement, whether or not it passes in November or not. There's going to be some people moving ahead of that with the hope and expectation, because let's face it, when prices are where they are and rates are where they are, the biggest thing that can move the needle for real estate right now is that in Florida. And if that happens, our prices are going to go up.
And what is so beneficial about this for us as a team is that we're already implementing all the resources, the AI, we're getting the education, the training. Our team is prepared to take on this challenge, and we are going to knock it out of the park.
I love it. We're going to talk about AI next. In fact, we're going to be back continuing our conversation. We're going to talk about all the things AI happening in real estate in Tampa Bay after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show.
back to the Duncan Duo Radio Show, the official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning, top team in Tampa Bay, over $3 billion sold and counting. Now your host, Andrew Duncan.
We talked all things Tampa real estate and property tax changes coming to Florida in the first segment. I'm joined by Trish Valesky from my real estate team, one of my listing partners, one of my most aggressive agents, awesome salesperson. If you're a client, she's a great negotiator, but she pushes for you. I can promise you of that. I hear it every day. I hear her talk in our meetings to the agents when she's selling your listings to try and find buyers for them. So nonetheless, I want to talk about AI. I've talked about it a lot on the show. We've rolled it out pretty largely in our company, but I want to talk about it from a standpoint of, the value to the consumer, because there's a lot of, doom and gloom out there about AI. People are afraid of it. Look,
Oh, yes.
I get it. I am too.
It can be intimidating.
I saw iRobot. I saw Terminator.
It's coming.
It's Skynet out there. So the difference is like, as an individual person, we don't have any ability to change where things are going. Right? We can only figure out how we can best use it to benefit our lives and our businesses. And in our business, we've rolled out some tools that I think are super effective at helping us use AI to find customers for our sellers. So to use AI to go into our database and say, hey, based on the data, based on the customer's home search, based on how long they've owned their home, based on the demographics, who are the people in our database that are most likely to be interested in this home?
Absolutely. They're raising their hands and we are on top of it in a second to be able to assist them and be a matchmaker.
And the cool part is that one of the chiefest complaints that we get in real estate through the years is, my agent doesn't call me back, or I don't hear from my agent, or I don't know what my agent's doing. And I get that. As a business owner, I can't be there every second of the day, and agents get busy and maybe they don't answer a phone call as quickly as they should to talk about your home. But what we're investing in is a way to make sure that every inquiry about your home, we focus on the most important thing to them, which is response time.
Absolutely.
Data tells us that when a customer inquires about your home, that they have they have Amazon Prime expectation. They want to push a button and make magic happen. So they want to know what's going on about your house. So we've established and trained an AI agent to make those phone calls and text messages as a fallback when our agent doesn't do it quick enough. So it's like an extra layer of ensuring that your home, where we have all the information logged, where we have it all loaded into our system, and an agent or a customer has questions about a home, we have a backup to make sure that information gets handled. And at the same time, this AI can text and call the prospects in our database to try and find the buyer for your home and get them interested, and then transfer them to the agent, who would then go into talking about price and all the different things. But AI really is changing it, not just from the ability as a marketer to kind of market your property, which with a 200,000 person database we're able to do, but also the service level, the responsiveness, the ensuring that inquiry on a property gets responded to quickly, even if the AI agent doesn't have every single piece of information. They've got most of it.
Right.
And what they don't have, then they're going to be transferring that to the agent. And it's a great thing, because Trish, if you're in a listing appointment, if you're tomorrow meeting a seller of $1 million house out on the water, and you've got this beautiful property on the market and somebody calls on it, you might be tied up for 2 hours. That customer might say,
I'm not waiting.
I'm disappointed. Like, why can't I talk to anyone? When you're the best person to talk to them, that's where AI can step in and fill that gap.
Absolutely.
And you've seen that firsthand on our team, the things we're rolling out with AI.
Absolutely. And we're implementing things on a daily basis to improve our team and our customer service so that we can service the families.
Yeah.
What we're going to start doing next, too, is start putting QR codes on all of our signage. So we know they want instant information, that a consumer can immediately click on this and get all the details of the home and then be immediately put in touch with us.
Including, if you're not available, then the AI can engage with them and text and ask them questions. And look, it's just, I get that there are people that, again, don't love talking to AI, but Trish, our AI agent, Devin, I think we listen to the conversations because we're constantly coaching and tweaking it. There's a lot of people that don't realize it's AI. It's that good.
It is that good.
Yeah.
It is
like
that
you
good.
can listen to the phone calls and be like, I wouldn't have, if I didn't know, I wouldn't have instantly guessed.
Right.
That's it. Proper pauses and well, let me think about that. Like it's really good. It's
You
not
have
robotic.
no idea. And
It's
what's
not
so
robotic.
beautiful for us then is everything is transcribed. So when it's passed over to me live while I'm speaking with my potential client, I can read all the notes and be fully up to date to engage with them and assist them.
And I think, again, as a home seller that's selling your home, the other part of the AI is us using those tools to be able to properly market your home, including editing descriptions, editing photos, finding the buyer in our database.
Absolutely.
Demographic. Like we just had a commercial property. I had Grant on Grant, our commercial agent, on about a month ago. And we had a property where we had a very good idea where the customer was going to come from. And we asked AI, like, hey, where is the likelihood? And it told us, like, based on all the data, this is where. We ran an ad campaign there and put it under contract with a buyer from that ad campaign that AI helped us generate.
I love
because
it.
it just has an immense amount of information that we can't have on our own. So we're really using it to help our buyers and sellers. And additional to that is when we have a buyer, talk about that. We have a buyer.
Yep.
And they have something specific that isn't on the market. We have the ability to find that for them.
Absolutely. I have a lot of pocket listings that people that I have sellers that don't quite want to go live yet, but they're like, if you guys know anyone in your team, be a matchmaker. Like I had a conversation with a potential listing appointment yesterday. He is doing a new construction off of West Shore. It's going to be 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, beautiful pool, outdoor kitchen, over 4,000 square feet. 2.1 million. If you know someone who wants to be in South Tampa, call me 920-980-7805.
Look at her selling it. I love it. But and at the same time, also the AI element where we can go into our Felix AI and say, hey, we have a customer that's looking for this. Find us those people in our database and call them.
Absolutely, because
it's pretty incredible.
We can just put in zip codes and things, and everything can populate.
So
if
your agent isn't, doing the gritty work to find the stuff off market, to find opportunities, we're definitely doing it for you. We'd love to help you again. Just hit us up anytime at DuncanDuo.com. Again, that's DuncanDuo.com. We'll be back after a quick break here on WFLA News.
And we're back with the Duncan Duo Radio Show, Tampa Bay's #1 real estate team. Over $3 billion in sales, thousands of happy clients, and official partners of the Lightning. Now your host, Andrew Duncan.
Back here, Andrew Duncan, joined by Trish Valesky with my real estate team, the Duncan Duo team, LPT Realty. We were talking the first segment. We really focused on. We talked about our featured properties and kind of all things happening in Tampa with the property tax changes coming to Florida and how that'll impact the real estate market. And then we talked about AI in the second segment and what it's doing to allow us to better serve our customers, not just sell more homes, not just empower our agents, which is obviously doing that, but focus on how we can deliver more value to our clients, how we can touch more customers, and how we can target our database of over 200,000 people to find buyers for sellers and find homeowners for buyers.
Yep.
So we've got the element of both there. Talking about the property tax bill, I kind of mentioned how I believe the market is going to start the second half of this year, our real estate market. Now, look, if you look at the national real estate stats, they come out all the time. I just saw some the other day, and it was very bearish. It was not optimistic about real estate. So when you read that, you might think, oh, man, real estate's really bad. That is not the case here.
Not at all.
It's not the case in Tampa Bay. It is definitely on the upswing. Our luxury market has led the way because the last 3 months we've seen 17% appreciation for homes above $1 million in our market. But it is affecting pretty much everything, and the market is starting to turn because people are moving ahead of this property tax. Property tax changes. We've got people moving here
all the time.
That's driving activity. And then I think additional to that, I think the interest rate environment is normalized after Iran has kind of been mostly resolved. And I think people are just accepting that interest rates are going to be where they are.
Yep.
Unfortunately, whether people want to hear this or not, I actually think that sometimes when we find out that they're not going to drop, it takes a little bit of time for people to absorb that. But eventually it can be a positive because it can motivate people to say, you know what, well, now I've just got to make happen instead of just waiting. Because when there's this thought that interest rates could drop, consumers just sit there and wait. They're like, well, I'm just going to wait for them to drop. Well, now that's pretty much off the table. They're not dropping anytime soon.
Nope.
So nonetheless, speaking about the market, Trish, you just had a handful of listings go on the market, and all of them went under contract because of how we marketed them and how great of a job you did negotiating.
Within a day, within 2 days, within 3 days, I have so many pending for the month of July. It's really busy.
Yeah. And again, that's that kind of lead up to what's happening with the property tax stuff, as well as, again, our hurricane impact that we had 2 years ago, we're now almost 2 years from those bad storms. Hopefully, knock on wood, we have another clean hurricane season, because that's probably the only thing that I think, as far as our setup goes, for a recovery in the second half and maybe even like a boom in 27 is Tampa Bay staying clean from major hurricane impact. Of course, we're going to get named storms. We're going to get tropical storms. We're going to get hurricanes. The key is hoping and praying that we don't have a big one, and certainly not two big ones back to back.
Absolutely.
And if we avoid that, then I think we're going to have a really, really strong real estate second half this year, and even better in 27. And so, Trish, when we talk about selling homes fast, sometimes I hear consumers say, like, well, hey, you sold it fast. That means, maybe you left money on the table. But the reality is a lot of people don't realize the math of how much money it costs them to keep that home for months and months.
And that's a lot of coaching and things that we have to speak with them about. Like, I just listed a $400,000 house in Seffner. There was no movement, open house, no movement. It was on the market for a week. Coached her to do a price improvement. She got a full price offer last night.
Yeah. And that's key, because the other part I think that happens is that consumers, if they hear you say, oh, you sold 4 listings really fast, did you underprice them? And I don't think that's possible. And I want to explain that for people to understand. People have so much access to data today. With all of the AI engines, with Zillow, with Realtor, people can get a pretty good idea of a property value.
They all reference Zillow's estimate every time.
Everyone can get a pretty good idea of a property's value. Now again, some of those are off because they don't see the inside of the house or they miss a feature, but they can show you trends, right? You can get close enough. And so when customers think that the home got undersold, if it's exposed to the marketplace, here's what happens. If it's underpriced, it's going to get a bidding war.
Yep.
If it's properly priced, it's going to get an offer relatively quickly and sell. If it's overpriced, it's going to sit. So I don't believe, as long as, and I know you know how to play the game, Trish, when we get an offer, we're creative negotiators, right? We're not always just rushing right into accepting it. We're making sure we're sending emails to everybody showing it. We're doing a last call. We're trying to make sure to use that to see if there are other buyers out there. Because the bidding war is what gets the client's price up if we can generate one. It's certainly not as common, but it does still happen. And so, if it's priced well, the market has seen it. It's the market that determines the price. Like, I'll have someone say, well, my appraisal said it's worth X. Well, then call your appraiser up and see if he'll buy it for that number.
Have listing clients at the time now using AI to even find out what the cost of their house should be. He'll be like, ChatGPT, who's the best real estate company? It tells everybody it's the Duncan Duo team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
But they also tell them what the list price should be.
And so the reality is those things can be, they can develop and help you understand trends, but they're not foolproof accurate, because they don't know features. They're not in the trenches every day, and they're looking backwards. So one of the things about the data, especially when you look at those things, is it's looking backwards. It's putting the most weight on the properties that have sold. Well, as we know, we don't live in a vacuum. Properties in certain neighborhoods go up or go down every month.
Absolutely.
So if they're only looking at homes that were sold, meanwhile, there's 2 foreclosures on the market that are $100,000 below everybody else, and eventually that's going to pull the price down. You've got to look at that. Well, looking backwards at price doesn't do that for you. You also have to look at the future and kind of predict and look at the statistics. So it's not foolproof, but it's getting better. And the key to it is that when you sell a home fast, you're also eliminating the months and months of the mortgage payment.
Right.
You have negotiating leverage that you lose. I talked to a buddy of mine who's got a property in a different part of the country with an agent. He was like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And the very first thing I said to him is, 100 days on market, it's overpriced.
Yep.
Like you're just above the mark. Like
the market is responding to you.
Right. The market, the photos look okay. Like, could they be better? Yeah. Is it, at the same time, the price is the obstacle. And so, when it's exposed properly, and it's getting rejected by the market,
right,
you have 2 choices. You can either improve the price or improve the condition. That's it. Especially in a market where, prices may not be going up. Now, there's some neighborhoods where prices are going up and you can speculate a little bit.
Absolutely.
Like an example would be a neighborhood where you see prices maybe rising a little bit. Some recent actives that are a little higher, and you may be able to go a little higher on price there. But quite the opposite. If you're in a neighborhood, and I'll call some of them out. Like if you're in a new construction neighborhood where they're still building, if you bought in 22, 23, 24, 25, if you bought the last few years, you probably don't have equity unless
Correct.
you put a bunch of money down. You probably don't have equity. So the obstacle is it doesn't matter what you owe. It's what's happening in the market and what will a buyer agree to pay. No real estate agent, and Trish, you're an incredible salesperson, but no real estate agent is going to convince somebody to pay more, drastically more than the data shows.
Correct.
The only rare circumstances where that happens is if the data can't measure something. And what I mean by that is like super luxury, properties that don't have a comp.
Yep.
Like homes those are scenarios where, if you're on acreage and there's no other comp that's got 10 acres and there are some scenarios where you can maybe play with price a little bit. But if you're in a neighborhood where a lot of activity happens and there's other homes of similar square footage, you're going to have to appraise. You're going to have, for a buyer to get a loan, you're going to have to stay in line with that or it just doesn't sell.
Yep, that's correct.
And I like to tell people I would rather be honest with you now and guide you to the right price, because when you're working with a seller, it's a mutual agreement. The goal is to get them to understand where they need to be priced, not to dictate it to them. And so when you can come to that, mutual agreement, when somebody's just out of their mind and they want something the market doesn't support, I would rather tell you no than let you down now than let you down later.
Absolutely. And not put them through that time frame of stressing about it.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we have happen a lot is a customer will come to us and say, I want 500. And you go through the process and you tell them and you help coach them, and they're just not seeing it. They want the number even though the number isn't supported by the market, because what they're paying attention to is what they owe or what they want, not what the market will deliver. And so in those scenarios, a lot of times we will tell those customers, and of course we sometimes do list them, and we try and get the customer to have the market educate them about where it should be priced. And if it hasn't moved, then the market is kind of telling them, hey, guess what? You're probably too high. But in those scenarios where we're honest and we're like, look, that just isn't realistic. And then they go with another agent. A lot of times they end up firing the other agent, coming back to us because we were honest. I would tell a seller, I would say, Mr. Seller, there's a couple of things. Like if you're going with someone else because they've told you a higher price, they're lying to you.
Yep.
Okay. They're trying to get your listing by, getting you to be excited about a higher price, and then they're going to try and get you down in price. So here's what I would recommend you do, Mr. Seller. Really tie them down and get a firm commitment that they believe in that price.
Yeah.
And tell them, do you believe, are you that confident on the price, right? And then when you put the house on the market, and ask for the ability to cancel the agreement, okay? And because it's not foolproof. Some have it, some don't.
Yep.
When they put it on the market in 15 days, 30 days, 45, at some point they're going to call you and say, oh, well, it's time to lower the price. It was time to lower the price before you put the house on the market because you went too high. When they do that, fire them. because they lied to you. And you will know that I was honest with you, and I'm sure you don't want to continue being in business with somebody that was dishonest.
I literally just had that happen with a listing in Lutz where they interviewed 4 agents. Then they picked their top 2. I was one of them, and then another agent. The other agent then kept telling them a higher price, and I'm explaining to them and coaching them and showing
how
them.
How it works against them.
Correct. And they ended up hiring me, and I sold it in one day.
That's awesome. And the reality is that's where it needed to be priced, because the market, again, absorbed it and presented an offer. At that higher price, it would have sat and sat and sat. They would have lowered it and lowered it and lowered it, and they'd have eaten months of insurance, property taxes, mortgages,
Absolutely.
all that stuff. And again, what is your time, what is your
They
convenience?
already had moved to another house in another
Correct.
state, so it's sitting there. They don't want to pay the bills.
Right. So nonetheless, when you hear a real estate agent talking to you about price, look, we get paid if we sell. We get paid more if we sell it for more.
Right.
Like, but we also don't get paid at all. Like, we're not on salary.
Well,
we're on our performance plan. We are bonus only. If we don't sell your house, we don't earn an income.
Yeah, it's not a hobby.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Yeah. and it has to be a mutually beneficial deal. And we certainly want to get you as high of a price as we can, because it helps us too. But we also have to be honest and realistic. We don't want to let you down. We don't want to promise you something and tell you something. In fact, we have a form in our listing agreement that says, like, this is the price, and if you do a different price, you're signing to say that you didn't agree to our price, so that we don't come back a month later and say,
you told me.
Yeah, like, we've got a form that says you picked the price. We didn't pick this price. Like, we gave it our best shot, but it was you that picked the price.
Absolutely.
And now, like, your price isn't working, and so nonetheless, because we would run into that. We would have home sellers say, well, she agreed to my price when you didn't, because they're not going to remember. It's just, months later, they're not going to remember the meeting that you had in their house for 2 hours. They're just going to go back and say, well, you signed the agreement too. So we have this form now to prevent the seller from coming back and blaming us when they choose to overprice the house. So nonetheless, anyway, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. When we aren't on air, follow us on all of our socials at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, pretty much all of them out there, or X. Got to stop saying Twitter. James even gives me dirty looks when I say Twitter now instead of X. So at the Duncan Duo, we'll be back after a quick break, wrapping up with our last segment here on the Duncan Duo Show.
Back to the Duncan Duo Radio Show, hosted by Andrew Duncan, official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning and the team that guarantees your home sells with ease. Visit theduncanduo.com right now. Here's Andrew Duncan.
So selling your home with ease, one of the unique offerings that we have is we have an investment fund that buys real estate directly from customers as well.
Yep.
And we have customers sometimes that are on the market call us and say, hey, I want you to come and meet with me, even though I'm on the market. And because we also buy properties, we're held to like a different legal standard. So there are codes of ethics that kind of restrict us from discussing certain things with a customer that's represented by another broker. So we'll sometimes get customers that get frustrated because we won't talk to them because their agent isn't present. And a lot of times they just don't understand the agreement that they signed and how exclusive in nature it is that all inquiries have to go through the broker. And there's a chance that we might buy the property in addition to potentially listing it. We can't communicate with you directly while you have an agent.
Correct.
So a lot of customers don't understand, or a lot of customers and sometimes agents don't understand that we have kind of a different standard legally. In addition to the codes of ethics, we also have the procuring cost scenario where we're advertising we will also buy your home. In addition to saying, if you don't like our offer, if you don't want to do instant cash, then we sell it traditionally. But we do buy homes directly. So if you have a home that is in need of repair, if you don't want to go on the market, if you don't want to deal with the hassle, if you inherited a property, if you've got a major fixer-upper, you've got a tenant situation with a bad tenant and you're just tired of it, we buy those properties, all the time. We have closings every month. I have one today. that we're signing on. So if that's something that you're interested in, just go to duncanduo.com. You can fill out a quick form. You can fill out the cash offer button. But I want to talk about the difference between that scenario, because our goal is to provide the solution for you that makes the most sense. The person that's going to take the cash offer is going to be a really small segment of the people that would inquire about selling their home. Because the person that sells their home in our instant cash scenario, we're buying that to make a profit, right?
Absolutely.
So plain and clearly, our desire is to buy it, renovate it, put it on the market, and make a profit. Now, are we wanting to make millions of dollars on one deal? No. I mean, we're making a reasonable return comparable to probably what you'd make in a stock exchange in a year. Like we're not trying to shoot for anything crazy. And our agents will disclose, like, hey, look, this is what we think we're going to buy it for. This is what the rehab is. Like, here's what our return would be. It's not what you'd think it'd be with all the carrying costs.
Well, we also assume the risk when we were doing that too well.
Correct. Yeah. And so, but the point is if you are someone that's thinking about that, you just have to understand that you're going to get more money in a traditional retail fashion.
Absolutely.
However, and again, not for every property, but for most, you're going to get more money because there's enough buyers out there. The difference is the convenience. Do you want to just not have a hassle in the world and you just want to pick up some cash? Yep. And it's like trading in a car or going to the pawn shop. That's the instant cash offer program. There's got to be enough money to where the investment fund buys the house, okay, spends the money to renovate it, and makes a reasonable return on investment. If there's not enough margin, then it's not a property that someone can buy and fix up. It needs to go retail.
Yep.
So your expectation of price, you have to factor that in. If you say, oh, I want a cash offer, but I want, my neighbor's house sold for $500, I want a cash offer for $500. I don't want to go on the market. No one's doing that,
correct,
right? Like there's no margin there. So unless you're willing to discount the property some, to get the convenience of a cash off market, never having to show it, not having to lift a finger, not having to do anything, the convenience of that is there's a cost associated.
With that being said, and convenience, one of my 3 last closings have been sold completely furnished. Like the sellers left every single thing in the house other than their personal property.
Right.
We can make it very convenient.
Exactly. And I think so the cash offer is great, but for most consumers, we can get it almost as convenient, right? By going on the traditional path, putting it on the market, pricing it aggressively, pricing it higher than what the cash offer would be, but maybe slightly below where the market looks like. And you're going to create a frenzy and sell it really fast. You're not going to be sitting there for months and months and months. So if you're someone that thinks about taking the cash offer, what I would tell you is, think heavily about whether or not you want to just put it on the market traditionally and just price it aggressively. Is the week or two of inconvenience, or maybe a month, 2 months, depending on how long it takes to get to closing, is that short period of time of inconvenience and some extra hoops to jump through worth the equity that you're giving up? And we're transparent about it. We tell the seller, hey, look, here's what we think we'd sell at retail. Here's what we can do cash. And the majority of the people don't want to take the cash offer. Rightly so. I wouldn't either personally.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of them that are just done with it, or
their circumstances are different.
Yeah, their circumstances are different. So when you hear the cash offer, just understand that like our goal is to accomplish your goal.
I want to get the most equity out of your home and
correct.
Put it in your pocket.
Correct. And again, honoring your goal isn't always equity, though. Sometimes it's the time. It's the convenience.
Correct.
And if time and convenience, then cash offer's right. If maximum equity is your goal, then the cash offer is not going to deliver you the maximum equity. It's just not, because that person has to buy it and then put money into it to be able to turn a profit. So nonetheless, hopefully that makes sense. But we are always buying houses, always looking for fixer-uppers. Always helping people that have inherited properties, that have a bad tenant. And to do that, you just go to duncanduo.com. It's a really easy form to use. You can even do it on your phone. You go to duncanduo.com, you type in your address, and you click request cash offer. And again, the majority of the time when we start talking numbers with someone for cash offer, they're not going to like the number, but that's the price of convenience. And just like if I own a, really expensive car and I, go and I sell it through a retail establishment, or I go to Barrett Jackson or Meekum auctions, I'm going to get maximum price out of it. Mm-hmm. But if I just go to one dealer and say, "Here, give me money for my car,"
I'm going to get a lower
number,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so that's the difference between the two paths. not either path is not right for every consumers. They're all different. So if either of those paths make sense to you, if you're thinking about selling your home, we'd love to apply for the job. I'd love to have you meet up with Trish. You can, and again, you can do that at duncanduo.com. And like I mentioned before, when we aren't on air, hit us up at the Duncan Duo, and have an awesome rest of your weekend, Tampa Bay.
Thanks for having me.